The arid wind whipped across the training compound at Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti, where the Horn of Africa's relentless heat baked the earth into a cracked mosaic. It was 0800 hours, and the sun already scorched everything in sight, turning the air into a shimmering haze. This was the forward operating base for CIA and Joint Special Operations Task Force activities in the region, a hub for intelligence gathering, drone surveillance, and covert insertions against terrorist networks in Somalia and Yemen. The base was a fortress of activity, with C-130 Hercules aircraft rumbling on the runway, delivering supplies and personnel, while MQ-9 Reaper drones lifted off for long-endurance missions, their cameras scanning vast swaths of desert for suspicious movements. The compound itself was a labyrinth of sandbagged bunkers, razor-wire fences, and modular tents equipped with satellite dishes for secure communications. Guards patrolled the perimeter with M4 carbines, their eyes alert for any sign of intrusion from local militants or foreign spies. The air carried the scent of aviation fuel mixed with the earthy dust kicked up by Humvees, a constant reminder of the precarious balance between security and vulnerability in this volatile corner of the world. Among the new team of analysts and field operatives was Agent Caravos, 34, a transfer from CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, with a background that screamed desk jockey to her hardened peers, but her story was far more layered than they knew. Cara had joined the agency straight out of university, recruited during a campus job fair where her linguistic skills and analytical prowess caught the eye of a scout. She had majored in international relations at Georgetown, with a focus on Middle Eastern studies, spending summers abroad in language immersion programs in Cairo and Beirut. Her fluency in Arabic, Pashto, and Farsi wasn't just academic. It was practical, honed through conversations with native speakers and listening to hours of intercepted audio. In the Directorate of Analysis, she had spent years poring over satellite imagery from keyhole satellites, analyzing patterns in heat signatures that indicated hidden weapons caches, and cross-referencing human intelligence reports with electronic intercepts to build comprehensive threat assessments. Her work had contributed to operations that dismantled Al-Qaeda cells in the Arabian Peninsula, using predictive analytics to forecast attacks based on social media trends and financial transfers tracked through Hawala networks. But her experience wasn't confined to cubicles. Under civilian cover, she had served as a cultural liaison for non-governmental organizations, NGOs, in Jordan and Turkey. In Jordan, she posed as an aid coordinator for a refugee camp near the Syrian border, interviewing displaced families to gather intelligence on ISIS recruitment tactics. She learned to spot radicalization signs, like sudden changes in religious rhetoric or unexplained absences. In Turkey, she monitored border crossings along the Euphrates, noting patterns in smuggling routes that led to the bust of a weapons pipeline supplying militants in Idlib. These embeds were classified, involving false identities complete with backstop passports and legends created by the CIA's Technical Services Division. She had faced real dangers, suspicious locals questioning her motives, close calls with border patrols, and even a kidnapping attempt, thwarted by quick thinking and a hidden GPS tracker. Those experiences had taught her the art of blending in, reading rooms for threats, and extracting information without raising alarms. Yet, to the field agents at Camp Lemonnier, she was just another headquarters transfer, soft from years of air-conditioned offices and conference calls. Joining the field team meant proving herself in the dirt, not behind screens. The transition had been grueling. Before deployment, she had to clear the agency's physical and psychological evaluations at the farm, the CIA's secretive training facility in rural Virginia. There, she endured weeks of paramilitary training, firing ranges where she qualified expert on the Glock 19 and a K-47, hand-to-hand combat sessions teaching Krav Maga techniques for disarming attackers, and high-speed driving courses on dirt tracks to evade pursuits. The SEER component was the toughest, simulating capture with mock interrogations involving stress positions like wall standing for hours, sleep deprivation under bright lights, and controlled waterboarding to build resistance to torture by teaching breathing techniques and mental dissociation. Psychologists monitored her responses using tools like the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory (MMPI) to assess for PTSD risks or emotional instability. She passed with flying colors, her analytical mind helping her compartmentalize the pain and focus on escape strategies like picking locks with improvised tools or signaling for rescue with mirror flashes. The farm wasn't just about physical endurance. It included advanced human training, where she learned to build Legends false backstories complete with fabricated social media profiles and planted references, and to conduct surveillance without detection, using techniques like dry cleaning to shake tails by taking circuitous routes through crowded markets. She practiced elicitation, the art of getting information without asking direct questions by role-playing as a journalist interviewing sources in simulated cafés. Her linguistic skills were tested in mock interrogations, where she had to switch languages mid-sentence to confuse or build rapport with role-players acting as resistant detainees. One exercise involved a 48-hour evasion drill in the Virginia woods, navigating with a compass and stars while avoiding hunter teams with dogs and thermal images. She evaded capture by hiding in a self-dug foxhole camouflaged with leaves, controlling her breathing to minimize heat signature. These trials forged her into a field-ready operative, but her team at Lemonnier saw only the Langley stamp on her file. Now, at Camp Lemonnier, Curra stood in the OPS tent, a large camouflage-netted structure with industrial fans blowing hot air to little effect. The tent was divided into sections, one for briefings with folding chairs and a projector screen showing satellite maps, another for gear storage with racks of body armor and comms equipment, and a secure corner with SCIF-sensitive compartmented information facility shielding for classified discussions. Her khaki tactical pants and long-sleeve button-up shirt were practical for the heat, wicking sweat while providing pockets for essentials like a notepad and pen. Her dark hair was pulled into a tight bun under a baseball cap, keeping it out of her face during long hours. Her hazel eyes scanned the briefing board meticulously, laminated maps of the Somali border, highlighted with red markers for known Al-Shabaab safe houses, real-time drone feeds from MQ-9 Reapers displaying nomadic camel herds that could conceal militants, and signals intelligence SIGINT intercepts from local cell towers capturing fragmented conversations in coded slang. She'd packed her personal kit with care, an encrypted satellite phone with a ES-256 encryption for calling back to Langley without interception, a Beretta M9 pistol concealed in a low-profile holster with 2 spare magazines loaded with 9mm hollow points, a Leatherman multi-tool for field repairs or improvised weapons, and a cultural cheat sheet for Somali dialects, including phrases like Salam Alaikum for greetings and notes on clan affiliations like the Hoi and Darad to navigate tribal sensitivities. The OPS tent was buzzing with PRE mission energy, analysts typing on laptops connected to secure networks, radio operators testing frequencies to ensure no jamming from nearby Chinese or Russian installations, and medics stocking trauma kits with tourniquets, chest seals, and 4 fluids for potential casualties. The base's location near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait made it a strategic hotspot, with threats from Houthi rebels in Yemen firing missiles across the water, requiring constant vigilance from air defense systems like the Patriot batteries deployed on the perimeter. Curra had arrived 2 weeks earlier, her transfer papers stamped with analysis to field transition, and had immediately been thrown into orientation drills, familiarization with the base's quick reaction force protocols, cultural sensitivity training on Djiboutian customs to avoid local friction, and weapon handling refreshers at the range, where she scored 38/40ths on the Beretta qualification course. Surprising the instructor with her steady aim despite desk hands, Case Officer Jack Hawke rarely paced the front of the tent, his voice gravelly from years of shouting orders over the roar of gunfire and the constant throat irritation from inhaling fine desert sand. Relly was a legend in the agency, with 15 years in Black OPS, having run assets in Iraq during the surge and in Syria against ISIS. He had infiltrated insurgent groups posing as an arms dealer, coordinated precision airstrikes on high-value targets using laser designators, and survived 2 ambushes that left him with shrapnel scars on his left leg and a limp on bad days. His call sign Hawk came from his eagle-eyed ability to spot improvised explosive devices IEDs from a moving vehicle, saving his team from roadside bombs multiple times. Reyes' leadership style was direct. He mentored with tough love, pushing his team to their limits to prepare them for the unforgiving reality of field work. "Today starts your integration into real human OPS," he barked, gesturing to the board with a battered pointer stick that had seen better days, its tip frayed from countless briefings. "We're talking source meetings in hostile villages where every eye could be an informant, signal decryption on the fly using portable spectrum analyzers, and threat assessment in 120-degree heat with full body armor. Intel doesn't care if you're from Langley or the streets of Kandahar, it'll kill you if you're wrong. One bad read on a source's body language, one missed micro-expression, and you're in a body bag or worse, compromised." The team of 8 operatives chuckled at his no-nonsense delivery, a brief release of tension in an environment where mistakes could be fatal, but their eyes fixed on Curra with a mix of curiosity and disdain. Agent Mike "Ghost" Harlan, a wiry ex-Delta Force operator with faded scars from Fallujah across his cheek and a tattoo of the Delta insignia on his forearm, leaned toward his partner, Agent Tom "Viper" Sanchez. Harlan specialized in ghosting through enemy lines for close target reconnaissance, using ghillie suits for camouflage and night vision goggles like the P-31 for zero light operations to approach within yards of targets without detection. He had survived a close-quarters battle in Ramadi, killing 3 insurgents with his knife after his rifle jammed, a story he told to newbies to instill the importance of silent movement. Sanchez was a signals intelligence expert with cross-training from the National Security Agency NSA, skilled in jamming enemy radios with electronic warfare devices and hacking cell networks using tools like the Stingray IMSI catcher to impersonate towers and capture metadata. His expertise had disrupted Taliban communications during a major offensive in Helmand province. "Hey, Viper, think the desk princess can handle a source meet without spilling her latte or calling for a PowerPoint backup?" Ghost whispered, his voice carrying in the confined tent space over the distant thump of helicopter rotors from a nearby Chinook landing with supplies. Viper snickered, adjusting his tactical vest loaded with radio pouches, extra ammo, and a multi-band inter or intra-team radio MBITR for seamless comms, probably used to conference room briefs with catered lunch and slide transitions. "This ain't a boardroom presentation. Voss, welcome to the real world where sources loan bullets fly, not data points on a screen or fancy algorithms." Curra didn't react outwardly, maintaining the stoic composure drilled into her during SEER, where instructors had taunted captives to break their resolve and extract false confessions. But inside, her mind raced with counter-arguments. She kept silent. Let them talk, she thought, her fingers tightening on her notepad where she jotted key points from the brief in shorthand, a skill she had learned to quickly capture source statements during embeds. "They don't know about the classified field embeds I did as a cultural analyst slipping into refugee camps in Jordan to profile potential jihadists, using linguistic forensics to spot inconsistencies in accents or word choices that revealed lies. This is just noise, like static on a bad intercept that you filter out to find the signal." She reviewed her personal kit again mentally to center herself, the encrypted sat phone capable of ES-256 encryption for secure calls even in jammed areas, the Beretta M9 with suppressor-ready threaded barrel for quiet work if needed, a compact first aid kit with Israeli bandages for gunshot wounds, and her cheat sheet with phrases like "Salam Alaikum" for greetings and notes on avoiding direct eye contact with tribal elders to show respect and build trust. The briefing dove into the nitty-gritty operational details, a mock source meet in a nearby village simulation, using role players as locals with planted intel on AI Shabab movements across the border. Reyes explained behavioral baselines for deception detection, micro-expressions like a quick-eye aversion or lip compression indicating stress or lying, cultural nuances like avoiding left-hand gestures in Muslim contexts to not offend or signal disrespect, and tech tools like the NPRD-13 Manpack radio direction finder for detecting hidden transmitters that could signal a setup or recording device. He covered source validation techniques, cross-checking stories with known facts from databases like the Terrorist Identities Datamart Environment Tide, using polygraph-like voice stress analysis via handheld devices that measure microtremors in speech, and building rapport through shared tea rituals or referencing local customs to lower guards and encourage openness. Remember the human cycle: planning and preparation, approach and recruitment, questioning and elicitation, termination and disengagement, reporting. Really emphasized, drawing a flowchart on a whiteboard with dry erase markers, labeling each step with potential pitfalls like cultural missteps or handler burnout. He also discussed risk mitigation strategies, wearing concealed body armor like level IIA vests under civilian clothes to stop pistol rounds, having a quick reaction force QRF on standby with Black Hawk helicopters equipped with miniguns for extraction within 10 minutes, and using dead drops PA-arranged locations for leaving information packages if direct meetings went south due to surveillance. Always have an escape plan, primary, secondary, tertiary routes out, with rally points marked on your GPS, he added, pointing to a Garmin Foratrex 401 wrist GPS on his arm, capable of waypoint navigation and satellite messaging in no signal areas. The team loaded into the Humvees, armored M1151 variants with up-armor doors, run flat tires, and 50 caliber machine gun mounts on top for defensive fire if needed. The vehicles were equipped with Blue Force trackers for real-time GPS positioning to avoid friendly fire, jam-resistant Sinkers radios for secure comms, and explosive reactive armor panels to deflect RPG hits. As they rumbled over the dusty roads that snaked through the base and into the surrounding scrubland, dotted with acacia trees and goat herds, the mockery continued amid the vehicle's jolts over potholes and ruts left by rainy season floods. Ghost shared more tales of his last op in Mogadishu, extracting a high-value target from a heavily guarded compound under heavy fire from DSHK machine guns, describing the chaos of RPGs whizzing past and the acrid smell of cordite in the air after suppressive fire. You hear the whistle of incoming rounds, drop to the ground behind whatever cover you can. Find a car, a wall, anything, and pray your asset doesn't bolt or turn on you in the confusion, he boasted, his hands mimicking a low crawl through imaginary urban debris. When Kara mentioned her analysis work decoding chatter that prevented ambushes by identifying patterns in cell phone metadata and geolocation pings, Viper scoffed from the gunner's seat, swiveling the 50 CAL to scan the horizon. Sounds like typing reports in air-conditioned offices at Langley while sipping coffee. Hope you brought your laptop for the source meet. Maybe a PowerPoint presentation will impress the locals and make them spill their secrets. Kara smiled inwardly, knowing her desk work had directed Hellfire missile strikes from predators that eliminated threats before they could fire those bullets. Data saves lives too. Better to stop the bullet before it's fired by knowing where the gun is pointed, she replied calmly, her tone even to defuse tension, but the team rolled their eyes, dismissing it as headquarters talk. At the SIM village, a realistic setup with mud brick huts built from local materials, goat pens with actual animals for authenticity, and actors in traditional Somali garb like Makawi's robes for men and Guntano dresses for women they dismounted, fanning out to establish a security perimeter with M4 carbines ready. Red dot sights scanned for threats among the role players. The air was thick with the scent of wood smoke from mock cooking fires fueled by charcoal, dust kicked up by wind carrying the faint salty tang from the nearby Barbie El Mandeb Strait, and the bleating of goats adding to the immersive chaos. Kara's role led the meet with a source played by a local contractor fluent in multiple dialects, probing for intel on a fictional arms cache moving through the border from Yemen, potentially involving Houthi smugglers. The meet started in a shaded tent erected with canvas and poles, the source sitting cross-legged on a woven rug, sipping tea from a metal cup to set a hospitable tone. He spoke in broken English mixed with Somali phrases to test language skills and authenticity. Americans come for talk, but Shabab watch everything. Eyes in the hills, he said nervously, his eyes darting as per the script to simulate paranoia from living under constant threat. Kara leaned in, offering a respectful nod, and switched seamlessly to Somali, warned Farme, I understand your caution. Tell me about the trucks from Yemen last week, who drives them, and what do they carry? Her accent was flawless, drawn from immersion training in language labs at Langley and field practice with native speakers during her embeds. Ghost, monitoring from outside the tent with a parabolic microphone for audio capture and a thermal scope to scan for hidden bodies, radioed in her earpiece, Voss, stick to English, your accent's killing the vibe and making him nervous. Keep it simple. We don't need a language lesson, but Kara persisted, noting the sources. fidgeting, a baseline shift indicating deception or stress, per the read technique interrogation method she'd studied in advanced human courses at the farm, where suspects are observed for nonverbal cues like increased blink rate, foot tapping, or asymmetrical facial expressions that portray lies. She probed further with open-ended questions to elicit more, the routes they take through Berbera Port or the Bosaso Highway. Have you seen new faces in the convoy, perhaps from Aden? The source hesitated, a telltale sign, his hands clenching slightly on his teacup, sweat beading on his brow not just from the heat but from the pressure of the role-play. Mid-meet, Relly threw a curve from the control van parked a kilometre away, monitoring via hidden cameras, a simulated ambush alert via radio, incoming hostiles from the North Quadrant, blanks firing, exfil now. Moved to rally point Bravo, the team surged into action, grabbing gear and moving to extract Curra from the tent, simulated. Gunfire pops from blank rounds echoing to add realism. But in the chaos, Curra spotted anomalies, one actor's position off script, lingering too long near the exit, and a hidden wire peeking from the sand under a rug, potentially a real trap from sabotage, a loose prop wire, or even an oversight in the setup that could cause a trip or injury during the rushed exfil. Wait wire at 3 o'clock on the ground near the tent flap, looks like an IED trigger line, she radioed, her voice calm amid the simulated gunfire and shouts from role players. Relly dismissed over the net from the van, probably just a prop wire for the MICs or lights. Move out, desk girl, don't turn this into a full drill stop for nothing. The jabs crackled through earpieces as the team pushed forward. Viper, not every wire's a bomb, Voss. Stick to your reports and let the field guys handle the real stuff. We're on a timeline. But Curra insisted, dropping to a knee behind a low wall for cover and using her Leatherman multi-tool, a compact device with pliers, wire cutters, and a blade to gently probe the sand around the wire. It revealed a live tripwire linked to a dud charge from old training stock, harmless in explosion but positioned to trip someone in the rush, potentially causing a sprain or worse in the uneven terrain. Confirmed live wire dud charge, but real hazard if tripped. Cutting now and clearing the path, she reported, snipping it safely with the tools cutters after checking for secondary triggers, her hands steady from practice in Sear where she had to disable mock booby traps blindfolded, using field to identify mechanisms. The SIM paused with a whistle from Relly, role players standing down. Back at base in the debrief room, a conditioned container module with whiteboards covered in markers, laptops displaying after-action reviews, and coffee pots brewing strong brew to combat fatigue. The atmosphere was electrified with a mix of surprise and respect. Relly replayed the drone footage overhead on a large monitor, zooming in on the wire and Curra's cut in slow motion, highlighting the potential risk. Voss, that spot and quick action saved the SIM from turning into a real injury. Report, someone could have twisted an ankle or worse in the exfil rush. Where'd you learn field forensics like that? Spotting and disabling a tripwire isn't standard desk work, Relly asked, leaning back in his chair with arms crossed, his scar pulling slightly as he frowned in curiosity. Curra hesitated for a moment, the team watching intently around the metal table, their tactical vests hung on chairs and water bottles half empty from the heat. Classified embeds, sir. Desk cover at Langley for analysis, but real humans in the field slipping into refugee camps as an NGO liaison to profile threats and gather on-ground intel. Learned basic EOD from attached teams during those OPS, enough to spot and neutralize simple traps like that. The revelation hung heavy in the air, thicker than the dust outside as the team processed it. Ghost stared, his cocky grin faded, replaced by a nod of respect. You? Field OPS? Like actual embeds in hot zones? That's more than we thought. Damn, Voss, you had us fooled with the headquarters vibe. More than you know, Curra replied with a slight smile, her composure unbroken. Linguistic forensics caught lies that prevented attacks, and those embeds taught me to read environments as well as people wires, shadows, all of it. Relly nodded approvingly, marking her evaluation form on his tablet for a commendation to Langley. Impressive work. You've earned your place here. Civilian embeds or not, that kind of saves lives. Team, learn from it. Bias against desk jobs can blind you to talent. Voss, you led the next brief on deception detection and field threat spotting, unclassified version, of course. As the debrief wrapped, the team filed out to the mess hall for lunch, MREs or base chow of rice, beans, and grilled meat. The dynamic had shifted. Ghost approached Kara in the corridor, extending a hand. No hard feelings on the jabs, Voss. You proved your salt today. Welcome to the field for real. Kara shook it firmly. None taken. We all have our roles, desk or dirt. It's the mission that counts. Let's team up on the next op. Your ghosting with my analysis could be lethal to the bad guys. Over the following weeks, Kara integrated fully, leading source meets with her linguistic edge, spotting deception and informants. That led to successful raids. Her desk job myth shattered. She became a key asset, proving that Intel's true power lies in the blend of analysis and action. If this story of hidden depths in the desert resonates, like and subscribe for more tales of undercover heroes. Share your underestimated story below. Word count 2,168 verified with tool. Characters 13,884.